Right off the ferry on day one, we realized that Isle Royale makes its own weather, regardless of the forecast. On day 4, we awoke to fairly calm seas. We packed up camp, loaded the kayaks, said goodbye to the friends we made, and we were finally able to leave our Merritt Lane campsite to explore more of the island. Our plan was to round Blake's Point and see how bad the waves were, and then on to the mouth of Duncan Bay to reassess the wind and waves. If it still looked good, then on to Belle Isle. That's an important determination because the next 4 miles is fully exposed to Greater Lake Superior, with very little opportunity for safe harbor.
Ran out of water, so I had to stop and fill up my 2 water bottles. A little bit of a process, but I got a little break in the waves behind this huge long reef that creates Duncan Bay. We're going to go out around it and keep on going down to Belle Isle. Hopefully set up base camp there for 2 days. And then that'll be the last of the calm wind, and sometime Thursday we'll head back around the other side before the wind changes and gets bad over here. Hey, that's kind of nice. When I'm rambling, I don't think about how long it takes to fill this. So we've rounded the point. This is off to our left is Duncan Bay. And we were going to get this far and take a look and see how crazy wild it was. And if it's good, we're going to Belle Isle. So looking pretty good. A little rough right here, but when we get away from the shore where it's rolling, it'll settle. It'll lay down a little bit more. Hooked up. Gavin caught one. So I stopped while I was floating around. I looked down, hey, there's one sitting right underneath me. Got to look at him anyway. It's a nice one. That little island right back there became a little oasis. Downwind side was calm enough to get out, except that I stepped on a rock that was both slippery and rolled on me, and I'm pretty much soaked up to here. Well, all the way up this side. I'm pretty much soaked. But I needed to get out and stretch. I've been pedaling for quite a few hours. We probably went... We've gone 6 miles, something like that. Not that much in calm weather, but it's been a little wavy and means I'm working hard. You do all this kind of stuff, keep your balance. So if our mapping skills are right, through that little narrows way up there is Belle Isle campsite. Been a long pedal. What time did we start?
Around 9.
What is it now? I don't know either. I turned my locator off and my phone. A while. I would guess we've been at it at least 3 hours.
I would guess longer than that.
Yeah, sun pretty high in the sky. 4 hours maybe? Of mostly non-stop pedaling.
5 hours.
5 hours we've been at it. Made a couple little stops. We're lucky to catch some more fish. I caught one too though. First drop of the day. Bam! I don't know, maybe another 30 minutes. I can see a dock in the distance. We're thinking that's Belle Isle. Over in Merritt Lane, we didn't get a shelter, so we put up the tent, and then we, because of erratic thunderstorms always at the wrong time, we ended up having to stay there 2.5 days, longer than we wanted to before we got out of there. Over at Bell Island, we got a shelter. It's pretty nice. It really makes this camping easier. Looks like on the inside. Kind of low light. Not sure how well that'll film.
After a good 6 hours of pedaling, we made ourselves a hot meal, and it was well earned. Then we headed out for an evening of fishing. The bite was off. Fishing was slow, but we saw a lot of fish on the graph, so we figured we were in a good area. We were excited about the next day and hoping the bite would pick up.
Have another smoke-filled day, but it's sure making for some beautiful sunrises and sunsets. Alright, I think I got a pattern. Oh. Okay, that was dumb. Got one on. I have one on. I had one on earlier too, and he came unbuttoned. He's very big. At this point, oh, are you freaking kidding me? I'm still on the struggle bus. I'm taking up permanent residence. Goodness gracious. I took a little shelter behind this little outcropping in the middle of Lake Superior. Well, technically not the middle. Out a long ways from shore. Always amazes me the force of life that God put on this earth. You would think nothing would survive out here. And yet, these beautiful flowers grow here. Now back to trout fishing. There, that's a pretty nice one. Get all that in. Alright, get her launched back and go in the right direction here. Gone.
Every avid fisherman has had those times where the fish just will not bite, no matter what lure you use or what technique you try. The entire morning was one of those. Then, for some seemingly inexplicable reason, it all changes. I know it's cliche, but it's like flipping a switch. This is the very moment when that flip happened. At first I was quite pleased with myself for dialing in the pattern and unlocking the bite. After several hours of catching one fish after another, I realized you could have dropped almost any lure to the bottom and they would have eaten it. It was just one of those magical times on the water where perseverance paid off.
On again. See if it stays on this time. It's been a struggle bus day, but put one big one in. A nice one. Get him around the front here if we can. There. Nice little Lake Superior fatty. Fun. I'm definitely dialing in on a pattern here. Hooked up another one, forgot to turn the camera on. I don't have enough battery or mains to charge them to leave it run full time. Hooked up again. I think I have it pretty well dialed. add a waypoint while I'm fighting a fish because I just went over 3 big ones. That one has a lamprey bite. We were commenting the other day how we haven't seen any. That one definitely has one. There's the bite. See that? Definitely a lamprey. Alright. Launch. Still recording. We have a pattern, so work around till I find a fish, and we're on a pretty good spot. There's quite a few fish on this edge. It's just a really steep break. Really steep. You can be in 40 feet of water and pedal 20 yards this way and you're over 100. So I find fish. I'm sure there's more fish than you can see on that steep break. The locator doesn't pick them out very well. But at least I know I'm in an area like that right there where there is one. Fish on again. Oh, 29 and a half. Thought it would go 30. All right. Here we go. Launch. Here. Seven. Best day yet. Hooked up again. Probably gonna run out of battery before this one plays out. Not a giant, but another really nice one. Double! Ninth fish of the day. Popped out on its own. Love it. Love it. Boy, they're strong. They are so strong. We caught a lot of fish this morning. I boated 11, probably lost half a dozen or more. And if I caught that many, Gavin probably caught 20 to 30. I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. We're going in for lunch. Not back to camp. We brought lunch with us. So we're going to try to find this old ranger station, ranger cabin that's not being used anymore. We think we're going to have lunch there. This place is so cool. When you look at the terrain we're dealing with, very few places you can find what you might call a beach. Use this one to have some lunch. Yeah, we had a great idea. Bring some food with us. We don't have to get back to camp. Oh, cool. Nope, we don't fit. Man, it's beautiful. It amazes me that these flowers grow out of this rock. The most unhospitable place to try to put down roots and grow. Amazing. Okay, I've had enough seat time for a little bit. I'm going to take advantage of this sort of a beach. Hop out for a bit. Epic fishing day. I think between the two of us, we're at 34 lake trout for the day. A lot of seat time though. We needed to stand up. This is an old ranger station. We just tied off kayaks, beached one of them. Really hope my knots hold. Ranger cabin. Old, that's what we were told. It's an old ranger cabin. They don't use it anymore. Old water tank. Those are some old boats, huh? Look at this fireplace. Pretty cool. All the old log work. This was quite the place at one time. A couple of days ago we found floating in the water a metal cylinder about this long with grooves in it. And we wondered when we first found it, what is this? Then we speculated it was probably floats for fishing nets. And Gavin opened this shed door here. And that's what they were. These right here. And we're pretty sure we were right that those are all old floats for fishing nets. From back when there was a lot of commercial fishing out here. Gavin just found a moose leg in the tame flower bed. I just noticed this. Somebody did a totem pole. He's smoking a pipe.
With the exception of our Stony Beach lunch break spot, we had been on the water and in the kayaks since daybreak. The ranger station was the perfect place to get out and stretch some achy muscles and hike around a bit.
It just got really eerie out. Almost like a solar eclipse. The smoke is so heavy from the wildfires in Canada. And then the sun just went under this one cloud. I mean, it was clear sky all day, except for the haze. You couldn't see really the blue very well. But now there's a cloud up there, and it's just eerie dark in the middle. Well, it's not the middle of the day. It's 6:20 p.m., but it should be plenty bright out. I mean, the sun is that high in the sky yet. Thursday, travel day. We got up early, got going. There is Belle Isle in the background, heading for Duncan Narrows. We're back around to Merritt. All right, we're heading to wherever we make it. Kind of nice not having a concrete plan that we have to stick to or a schedule. Epic day of fishing yesterday. I had 15, 16 if you count the one I had right up to the boat. All right, I won't. I had 15, you had roughly 23, 38. That's a 38 fish day, right? My math good?
And I had one up right up to the boat too. I didn't count, so you can count that and yours. 40.
And lots of fish on that came unbuttoned and lots of hookups that rolled off, in a few seconds. The bite was just crazy. You could get them on the drop. You could get them bouncing it off the bottom. You could get it reeling it straight up fast if they wouldn't hit it off the bottom. You could catch them dragging it straight up the cliff wall. It was fun. When they came yesterday morning, they were dead off. They ran. You drop a jig and they disappear. Then all of a sudden, it just flipped the switch. Today's supposed to be a travel day, or travel morning anyway. We came by this good-looking reef. We didn't have the locators on. We could see the rocks come up. Really nice reef. So we turned on the locators and just did a little pause. Caught one on the first drop. Well, I didn't catch him yet, right? Hooked up on the first drop. Those fish were 25 feet off the bottom. I dropped it down, bounced it off the rock. You can feel it hitting rock. Just did that half a dozen times and he was all the way down there and on it. Gavin has been fighting this one for a long time, maybe 5 minutes, maybe longer. Pedal and scoop him up.
Oh, I'm in reverse. Oh.
Of course. Oh no!
Oh boy.
Still got him?
Yeah, hopefully he don't crash. I'm just gonna try to bring him in. Do it. Only the hooks are in him. It's a pretty long fish.
Yeah, I get a measure on that one, huh? Not sure you want to slime those nice pants, though.
My church pants.
Your church pants. Good.
33.
Nice. I get the assist on that one.
Can you get a marine radio? See what the weather's like tomorrow?
Well, we can try. It might take her an hour to get to it.
Wind's coming kind of straight across the lake. We don't have much of it, but you don't need much to liven things up when it's got that much territory to build waves. Beautiful day though, beautiful day. We were gonna stay in Duncan Narrows. Today was a travel day from Belle Isle. We were gonna go to Duncan Narrows. But on the way across, I had Gavin check and say, "Hey, do you have a signal?" Because yesterday he had one bar at one point. Yesterday he was able to sneak out a couple texts for both of us. Says, "Hey, you don't happen to have a signal?" We did the marine radio, and we didn't really like the info they gave us. It wasn't very detailed. So he looked it up, and yeah, the wind and the direction would be pretty bad for getting around this point over here. That's Blake's Point, and it's one of the worst places on the island. If there's wind, things can get really crazy. So we are not going to stay in Duncan, and but we passed over all this great fishing stuff on our way down and on our way back. So we thought, well, let's leave the gear in here and fish our way around, because today is supposed to be really nice as far as wind. We could fish our way around the point and then decide what we want to do from there. But at least we'll be on the side that the ferry picks us up in 2 days. We don't want to get trapped on this side and, socked in by the wind. So, solid plan. We put our heads together, and it's a good plan. While I was fighting that fish, hit my sonar, backed it up, and dropped the waypoint where I hooked up, because I hooked one and it came on button, and while I was taking up the slack, another one ate it, and I caught that one. So there were multiple fish there, multiple and aggressive. I didn't think I'd be able to hook those because there was a huge cloud of bait fish there, and it's hard to compete with them with artificial lures when they've got all that to eat, but they ate it. 2 of them did. Got him. Wonder what I was doing there. I was holding my spool. My drag was still set loose from that last fight. Didn't get a good hook in him. I probably still didn't, but so far he's on there. Too early in the day to keep an eater. Hooked up again. That's better fish. Better than those little buggers I was catching up further up the point. We're on Isle Royale's north bank, and there's very few places like this. I mean, this isn't a sandy beach, but this is as good as it gets. A little afternoon, probably going on 1. Hungry time. Cooking away over there. Give you the panoramic. Another just absolutely gorgeous spot. What a great trip this has been so far.
Great company, great fishing. We've seen some really amazing things. Wolves, spotted orange lizards. One moose, though it was dead. So when we got all the way up on that cliff over there, look down into the area where it starts to get dark blue, we could see all kinds of either herring or smelt is what we're assuming. And they were 10 inches to a foot long, silver with kind of a bluish tint to them from where we were anyway. Gavin actually saw a lake trout come up and grab one. All right, this might be a bad idea. My action cam is kind of old, but this edge just drops off. Just massive cliff wall. I'm gonna shove the camera under and hopefully it's still waterproof. Should be good for just a few seconds to give you a look at how quick this drops off and how beautiful it is. You just look along the edge here and see all the rocks. You can see down 20-25 feet easily. Hopefully that worked. There's a buoy marker right here. We were thinking it's a marker for a shipwreck. It probably is. I did a circle sweep. I'm trying to pick up the ship on my locator. Not seeing it. So we saw this shipwreck marker on our way down to Belle Isle the other day. We did not find the shipwreck. We didn't spend much time looking either. It's actually shallower.
I'm fascinated by all the shipwrecks on Isle Royale, and this one is really interesting. I'm going to put it in my own words as briefly as I can. This is the SS Monarch. It was a beautiful ship in its day. It was built in 1890. It was the last ship built at the Sarnia shipyard in Ontario until World War II. It's a wooden construction, white oak to be specific. It's 259 feet long, had a beam of 35 feet, and a 900 horsepower triple expansion steam engine with a top speed of 14 miles per hour. It was designed to haul passengers and packages. There were 65 cabins for passengers, and the literature of the day boasted that the cabins were lighted by electricity. I thought that was kind of fascinating. That was probably a big deal back then. It crashed Thursday, December 6th, 1906. So it had 16 years of service before it crashed. It departed Thunder Bay, Ontario at 5:25 p.m. Temps were sub-zero with gale force winds, blinding snow, and visibility of only 50 feet. It was reported that they could not see the bow from the bridge. That's how hard it was snowing. I'm from the same latitude as Thunder Bay, pretty close anyway where I live. I can tell you on December 6th by 5:25, it's dark by then. For me, if I'm looking out on Lake Superior, gale force winds in a blinding snowstorm, I'm not getting on that boat. I'm like, nope, I'm good. You can pick me up next May when you come back by here. They had intended to use the Passage Island lighthouse as a beacon to pass safely by the east side of Isle Royale. They could not see the lighthouse. Shortly before the crash, the first mate went aft to check the harpoon log. That was an apparatus they dragged behind the boat that rotated. It had internal gears and dials and would measure speed and distance. Somewhat crudely, it had only logged 10 of the 26 miles to Isle Royale because it was frozen solid and not functioning. Shortly after that, the ship crashed into the Palisades on the northeast end of Isle Royale. Every good story has a hero, right? In my opinion, this story has two heroes. The order was immediately given for full reverse when they struck the Palisades, but the engineer, seeing the damage that was done, disregarded the order and kept the engines full forward to keep the ship beached on the rocks, likely saving everyone on board. That brings us to our second hero. Remember, it was sub-zero temperatures in the middle of a blizzard at night. While the engineer kept the engines in forward, holding the ship on the rocks, the brother of the first mate swam and waded through the wind-driven icy waters carrying a rope to the shore. They strung that line between the ship and the cliff wall of the Palisades, and all but one of the passengers used that line to reach the shore in relative safety. One passenger fell while crossing over and died from the resulting head injury. They had a few matches they had managed to keep dry, and they were able to get a fire going during the blizzard. They kept that fire burning for the next 4 days until help arrived. Without it, they would likely have perished. During those 4 days, they ate meager rations that had washed ashore. The ship broke apart in the days following their rescue and slid into the depths. We decided to take a hike. Had a lot of seat time in the kayak. My back's bothering me. Even Gavin was starting to feel it. So we decided to take a hike. We're staying at Merritt Lane, and that is a boat in sight, so there's no hiking trails that get to it. So we're kind of following a game trail instead. Look at the spongy boreal forest stuff. Like walking on a big green sponge. Well, there it is. Our goal is in sight. Well, we made it. Goal accomplished. Now the fishing maniac is going to try to catch a lake trout from shore. We've been by here with our graphs several times, and we know they load up right here, and we know it's an easy cast into 80 to 90, 100 feet of water. So if he doesn't get snagged up, there's a chance he could get his goal. I heard water. Can't see it. Oh yeah, there's some down there.
I don't think we're taking the wheelchair ramp up.
Not all the way, are we? It looks like it's possible.
Yeah, either that or you're gonna have to go up them real steep ones again. I can lead the way and I'll tell you how it is at the top.
You tell me how it is.
Cedar smells fabulous.
Spider webs in my face.
Yeah, I just brushed them all off. So they'll be back in a second, I think.
I'm really hoping this rocky ridge stays like this the rest of the way back. It was hard work getting here.
Feels like a good fish too.
Earlier in the week, we had considered spending the last night in camp at the Merritt Lane campground. That way we could avoid the crowd at Rock Harbor. When we got the updated weather forecast, it was even worse than expected. It was going to be impossible on the last day to make the trek from Merritt Lane camp down to Rock Harbor. So we got up early and broke camp and headed out. It turned out to be a good call. As you'll see, even this day got quite rough.
Oops. Except it looks deeper than it is. Yeah, that ain't the best. Cool little cove. Worth bending the Mirage mast? Maybe. Not gonna be able to get through. That would have been so cool. We pedaled from Merritt Lane all the way back to Rock Harbor because the wind was bad today. It's supposed to be much worse tomorrow. We would have gotten socked in by the wind and not made it back. So we made a really good call and pedaled all the way back to Rock Harbor. We were hoping to get a shelter, but this is, one of the two busiest places on the island where everybody departs from and enters the park. So not only were all the shelters full, all of the tent sites were full, even the group sites. So we thought, well, maybe somebody in a group site would, let us share a spot. And actually we found a group that would have, but then they said, hey, there's an overflow part. And he gave us directions to where it was, and sure enough, overflow camping. And yeah, it's kind of right on the trail, but it's a nice little pad and we're happy to have it. And it's less of a walk with gear because we don't have backpacks or things like that, so we had to carry what we needed up here, just strong arm it up here. One of the downsides of campsite here, you can't access it from the water. Everything else we were at, you could access from the water. It was perfect for what we were doing. We were set up really well for doing that. So, yeah. But it's a very hot day, and up here on land, it's even hotter, so I'm gonna grab my water bottles and head down by the lake and take the cool breeze coming off the lake. It was way nicer just down there, 200 yards away. Well, it's the last morning on Isle Royale, for this season anyway. Really hoping to come back next year. Hard though, you have to put away enough vacation time to make it worthwhile coming out here. if I can stick a couple more fish before we have to get on the ferry. We dropped on a bunch of fish and they just weren't having it, not even interested. I scaled down to a small tube, dropped this down. Wasn't even much of an echo. It was on the edge of the cone, so it wasn't even really picking it up very well. As soon as it hit the bottom, he was on it. Be a good eater fish for the last day, but probably not going to do that. Well, get up by Gavin will ask. He's catching lots of eater fish. He forgot he had this little bitty bait with him. He put that on, and they've been whacking it fairly regularly. "101 feet. That's too deep. I could drown 8 or 9 times on the way to the bottom. We're gonna get back up to 70. Hooked up in the wind. Hooked up in the wind. Actually, that's pretty good eater size. Last day here. I'll probably have lots of final thoughts, but here's one. I've been on a lot of kayaking adventures. Most all of them, probably all of them fun. I can't think of a bad one yet. But when they go a week, 5, 6, 7 days, usually, toward the end of it, I'm wishing I was home. It felt like maybe a day too long. Miss my wife and wish I was home with her. This one, I wish she was here and I had another 10 days to spend with her. It's been just a fabulous trip. Good weather, few challenges with the wind, but Gavin got a signal on his phone a couple times just when we needed it to get an accurate weather report. My phone didn't have a signal ever. And we made smart decisions. We were in all the right places at the right time. Beautiful scenery. Great fishing. It's all good.